300 guppies at Green Aqua in the biggest 650-liter aquarium. You've seen the Hardscape video last week, and I am planting it today. Very exciting times ahead. Welcome to the beautiful world of aquascaping. We have got a total of 235 pots of plants to build this 180p tank. And they are all coming from the Netherlands, from Stoffels, who was kind enough to sponsor us with the live contents of this aquarium. And they have been producing aquarium plants since 1957 in the Netherlands. So it's quite cool, right? We've got two special plants. One special plant, no. We've got two special plants. The first one is the Anubias Barteri var blah blah variegata, a lot of A's in this one, which is a nice little plant which has a little yellowish structure. Let's see if it stays like this underwater. Let's hope so. And the other is the Bucephalandra malawi pink, which will actually get pinkish. Also exclusively available from Stoffels and from Green Aqua. We ship to most European countries, so you guys can purchase these plants from us along with other aquarium gear. But before we move on, let's talk about the Hardscape a little bit. There's something missing from the right side, and he didn't really like the fact that there are only two bigger wood pieces there. This was the first problem. We solved it, adding a lot of detail in there. There's a second problem actually. The second problem is that these two guys are pretty much the same height. I cannot do anything else but this, guys. I couldn't fit all the plants on the table. I think let's start with the Bulbitis Heteroclita deformis. This will transform this whole scape, and it will not grow bigger than this. It will transform the whole scape into a very cool forest look. If you find crevices in the wood, you can just push it in. You can place them behind the wood, anywhere at the bottom. Ideally, we don't want to see the place where it comes out from, okay? We will not have any green on the upper side of the aquarium, except maybe some Ricardia moss that will be glued onto the trunks, the wood trunks. I think every picture tells a story for us, and the story for me here is that we had a big fire which cleaned up the forest, and after that, on the ashes, which is actually very fertile soil, it will give a lot of fertilizing to the soil. Then the plants will start growing from the soil and will start to overtake again. To accomplish this, you cannot have any high things, any high plants. So no stems, no big Bulbitis ferns, just small ones on the bottom. So maybe we will call this aquarium the Rebirth. We are only using it in the bottom because, you know, when you have these wood that is chopped off and then the new growth will start from the bottom or from the trunk itself, it looks kind of weird at the beginning, but that's how like trees are reviving themselves. As you can see, we are not planting the Bulbitis Heteroclita deformis into the soil because this is an epiphyte plant which will thrive on rocks or wood. You can glue it, you can put it in the crevices. What you can also do with epiphyte plants, you can actually put some glue on the plant itself, and this is the gel type super glue, and add a piece of rock on it, and this will cure in a minute. And you can actually just put it on the soil like that. We need to remove it from the back, from the aquarium glass in the back. It's obstructing the scale of the aquarium. And let's use it right there. Wow. Wow. I love this plant. This probably is my favorite plant right now, the dwarf Bulbitis. Those three guys will have the red Bucephalandras at the bottom. Actually, you can plant Bucephalandras in the soil, so they are not going to rot. So this is the Ulu Capus, which is actually a reddish one, which will add a lot of red accent to the aquarium. The idea is to keep the plants as close to the wood as possible, so don't bring them forward. Anubias. So let's tie this to a rock. This is getting closer to what I imagined, because he told me in the last video that he cannot actually see where I'm going with this one, but this is normal. This is the Microzorum pteropus, which is a really big fern. This is what I want to avoid to use. And this one is the green gnome. And we have one pot. Let's use the one pot somewhere in a very cool place. It's not even visible from that side, but if you step out a little bit, you can see. I like it. Nice, as you can see, all the reds are in the middle, and I put some in the sides as well, just one or two, to make it look more natural. Do you want me to wet the soil while you're planting? So we have the Anubias golden, which could actually be one next to the other. The Malawi pink will go in one patch actually. I made a circle and it has to go in the middle of the circle. We are kind of ready with the epiphyte plants, so let's move on to plants that will be planted in the soil. I know we planted Bucephalandra as well, but now we get to the regular planting. Starting with the Eleucharis pusilla. From here forward, cover everything. This patch too. While Gabor is continuing with the pusilla in the mid-ground, I asked Christoph to continue with the Eleucharis acicularis, which is a higher one. It will grow probably 10 centimeters high, and let's continue it in the back. You can actually fill up the whole background, but do not come forward of these sticks. Okay, so the next step would be the Cryptoparva, and we have two types of this. Let's use the smaller ones in the foreground, and let's use the bigger ones here and there in the soil. Next step would be adding Riccardia moss onto the wood. I want to make it in a natural way so that it grows up from the ground, and I don't want to use it probably too high. The main idea is that all the northern side of the trunk is filled with moss. This is the third type of stone that I'm using right now, is the dragon stone. So we have Frodo stones in the tank, we have Petrified wood stone, which is the main decoration stone. Actually, the Frodo stone is not visible. You learned that in the last video. What I'm missing right now is on the left side. You can see that in between those two big tree trunks, there's a white spot. And I would ideally want to see some plants closing the gap between the two from below. We have two more plants that we didn't use, the Marsilea and the Rotala nangesan. And I'm not sure that I want to use the Rotala right now. The Marsilea hirsuta will go in between different hair grasses so that the hair grass is not uniform. The guys are finalizing the scape. Thank you so much for the great help that you gave me. I couldn't have done that without you. You are wonderful. And you guys are wonderful for staying here until the end. Don't go anywhere because you're going to see how this whole thing looks with the fish selection and everything in a couple of moments. 1 month have passed by since the last shots, and the 300 guppies were introduced in the 650-liter biggest green aqua gallery tank as promised, and they are not swimming together nicely, but the top part is full with them, and I like the fact that they are actually occupying the space on the top, because I opted not to use the apex with all kinds of branches and everything on top of these trunks. So if they were not here, then it would be an issue. Let's see what happened with the plants in the past weeks. I think that most of the plants are thriving and they're feeling really good. I really like the progress with the mosses. The Riccardia is growing in nicely, and I really like the Helantium tenerum green, which is on the left side mostly, and some in the middle. And I think that also the little crypts are doing well. The epiphyte plants, the Bucephalandras, are growing and filling in nicely over there. So I see no plant health issues except the little Bolbitis, which is kind of not melting, but it's struggling, and I see some algae on it. This is a very slow growth, very difficult plant, so I think it needs a little bit more time. So maybe we will do a cinematic update on this this aquarium later on, and you will see that we can actually win from here. As we trim it and the new growth starts to emerge from the bottom, it will look much better in the long term, I think. Oh, by the way, we are using the EHEIM reeflexUV filter underneath this aquarium because it's a powerful UV sterilizer that will eliminate algae spores, bacteria and pathogens, which will help with the fish health, it will help against algae, and it will help to have a nice biologically stable environment in your aquarium. And it also can be programmed with the smartphone app, and it also can communicate with other devices if you have multiple EHEIM digital devices with your aquarium. So it's quite a nice technology to have. Another pro for this aquarium is that the balance of the colors is quite good for my taste, because I really like the Colorado sand and petrified wood stone combination. These will give a little bit of reddish tint to the aquarium. The Săng Đá trunks that we got are also not coloring the water anymore, so the water is kind of beginning to be almost fully 100% transparent, and these warm colors are contrasting with the green plants perfectly. That's something that is really pleasing to the eye. So I hope that you guys like this. Let me know in the comments what you think about this biggest build. I kind of think that I managed by accident to think out of the box a little bit. So all the team members and customers that I talked about this aquarium told me that, oh, good, you have some new things at the gallery and I want to keep this going. Let me know what you think. Bye-bye.